someone wrote in and said, when I was newly single after a divorce, I had all these men flocking to me, and I was having all kinds of hot, poly, kinky play, everything I dreamed of and then some. I met someone special and returned to monogamy when I realized I was sort of passing my energy around and feeling drained, and I wanted to return to the container of relationship, focus, and commitment. A year insecurity has given way to frustration. I feel invisible, sexually shut down, defaulting to my partner's vanilla, and wanting desperately to be seen anew. I can't determine if what I'm craving has to do with my needs not being not being met sexually in my relationship, or am I just a woman who needs new relationship energy or stranger sex periodically to thrive, or is wanting to be seen code for I just need to double down and work on self-love before I go asking for an open relationship? Eek! What do I do?
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yes.
You are all such smart human beings
Wonderful.
who write us these amazing things.
They really are.
I am sitting here with Cathy Vartuli of theintimacydojo.com.
And I'm here with Reed Mahalko from readaboutsex.com.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think
we agree that we're sitting with each other.
that's often
important.
It's good to start with basics.
Okay, and we agree that this is a great chair. Please keep sending stuff to us.
Yeah, no, these are wonderful. I love the vulnerability and the question.
Right, solve a problem. 2 sentences, go.
2 sentences. I think humans need different things at different times.
Mm-hmm.
So I was brought up that you are who you are. That's how you were born. That's what you want. But as I've gone through my life, there were times where I explored with kink, and then there were times I didn't want kink. And I think people are allowed to have variation in what they want to experience and what leaves them fulfilled. So just because last year you wanted something doesn't mean this year you can't want something else, or today and tomorrow you could want different things. So first, just giving yourself permission to have different needs at different times, and perhaps talking to your partner about exploring outside of vanilla or exploring within vanilla, if that's all that partner is willing to do, might go towards helping you understand where your needs can get met within the existing agreement. And then also just being really clear that, okay, maybe I do like a new relationship energy or stranger sex sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. I think doing work on self-love is always useful, always valuable, but it doesn't change what we prefer sexually or what our body might be asking for, unless it's something we're using to escape who we are, I think. I'd love your thoughts on that.
So first off, some of your questions are so awesome, and don't just take our advice for it.
Yeah.
Go find other support. Maybe get a therapist, couples counseling, all kinds of stuff, right? Because none of that has to be the death knell that something's wrong.
Yeah.
So that just to say that. For this conversation or this email, right? Because it seemed like this was not somebody writing who was just having their sexual renaissance. Like there's a lot of thought and a lot of complex things that have been articulated in this email. So I'm going to give a really simple bit of advice that's actually quite complex. And my answer is to look at life from a yes and perspective. Yes and traditionally comes from, or where I found it first, was in the improv comedy world, where the secret to improv comedy is to always be yes and. So you never negate something that's already been established. Okay, this is where this actually, I'm kind of proud that I came up with this. I didn't come up with this, but like how I'm applying it, right? Because I'm like, oh, like this is interesting advice. So yes, you have a monogamous relationship, and you might need other things.
Role playing with your partner on new sex or stranger sex, so it might work. Or
who knows? But it also might fall under the category of monogamous relationship, and I need non-monogamous things. So for me, as somebody who coaches people through this kind of stuff, right, or just in relationships in general, the conversation is, all right, so in your established relationship, and for anybody listening, like if you have multiple relationships, your established relationships, like, can you have this kind of conversation? Can you have a nuanced conversation about this context? It's actually quite complex. Hey honey, we have a monogamous relationship. I have this past where I had all this this non-monogamy. I was going to say freedom, but it's actually air quotes around freedom. I had all this non-monogamy, and now I'm kind of curious that I might need to dip back into the non-monogamy pool just to feel fulfilled. Not sure yet if it's a has to. I have to do this, but like, can we talk about it? So, do you have a relationship where you could initiate that conversation?
That's important.
And again, I'm going to say, from just a healthy relationship standard, whatever relationship you're having, or whatever friendships you're having, can you have that kind of conversation? Like, which is actually kind of complex in that you're now asking yourself, am I dating somebody, or if you're using it with friends or business partners or whatever, are we literate enough about being able to talk about multi-level complexities to be able to even start having this conversation? Or are we actually not literate enough to do this, and we either need to bring in a third party to help navigate this, or we should go get the tools and then come back?
Yeah, I think hiding part of yourself from your partner is not a good way to have a really solid relationship. And if you're having concerns or feelings, being able to talk about them, whether you can meet those needs in the relationship through fantasy or role play, or if you actually do this, like we were talking about in another video, the sooner you start talking about things that you're feeling, the easier it is to deal with.
Yeah, and talking about something doesn't mean everyone's agreeing that it gets to happen. It's the beginning of mapping out what is there and what options we have. And then when you all decide or choose an option to explore, then you map out what exploring that option would look like.
Yeah.
So again, some people think that if they start talking about three-ways, they have to have a three-way. And I'm like, no, there's like a gazillion little steps to happen before that. To do it right, to, you know, have everyone feel good about it, about exploring it, even if it doesn't go well. Like, and that alone is a very complex situation, right? How do you know if your relationship can handle trying something new and it not going well? You can't even
talk about it, yeah.
And then you both being like, wow, let's celebrate that we tried that thing, but it was a train wreck.
Let's never do that again.
When you can do that, like when you have that kind of relationship, then you can pretty much, I mean, it doesn't guarantee that you stay together forever or they're always happy, but then you can adventure and explore in ways that were really not available to my mom and dad based on their communication skill sets.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that self-love doesn't always mean that we have to be alone. You were asking if you should double down and go and, you know, work on self-love. Self-love can also mean I am noticing these needs and I'm going to talk about it and figure it out. That's also a form of self-love. Or I'm going to talk to my partner about maybe I really do need to, you know, open the relationship up. Those are also self-love ways of approaching life. So I hope this helped. It's a great topic, and good luck.